Alright guys, so we're actually going to get this underway in just a second. When it wants to load. Oh, it has loaded, okay. Let's swap over. Cool. Oh shit! Okay, let's adjust some settings. Alright folks, so today we've got a game here on equal footing between HappySmurf and Moltavui. So spawning in the bottom corner of the map as the blue Greek player, we've got HappySmurf, so give it up for him. Our 3D editor friend from the Netherlands. And then spawning in the top corner of the map, we have Moltavui as the red Greek player. So we've got a nice Greek mirror matchup. Malta, for now, has found some goats. He's still looking for his hunt. And Happy's getting on his camels now. Malta's still looking for a hunt. Oh, there he goes. Should have seen that one by now, but he's actually found another one too. So, alright, so he's got two. Oh, I'm using the wrong layout. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, so using the correct layout now, we've got HappySmurf and Moltavui here. Malta's actually taking a fairly distant storehouse there. This one's actually a little bit closer over this side. And Happy, for now, hasn't actually got a wood storehouse. He seems to be going for a quicker barracks. So here, the barracks is already going down. And Happy's just sort of checking out the middle of the map. Malta still hasn't really moved out with his scout to catch much of the mid-map yet. He's just taking that storehouse now. He's at 200 wood, but he hasn't actually got the barracks yet. And so for now he's clearing that third hunt. And there's a barracks coming up here, a HappySmurf, as well as a house. So that's quite an early house, but he doesn't want to be population capped. He builds the best houses. Everybody else builds houses, but they're not as good as HappySmurf's houses. Because come Roman's time, it'll probably be his house. So, up here at the top, we've got a barracks coming out from Moltavui. A little bit slow, but he does have more wood in the bank to actually work towards his age too. So, just see if Happy can put the pressure on. He's getting one spear, two spear, and he's actually getting his wood storehouse now. Probably going to look at getting a third spear, perhaps, when he sees that his opponent's barracks isn't actually finished yet. So HappySmurf has seen that yet, hasn't seen the houses being constructed, but now he may do just that. So, actually, were there houses being constructed? I thought they were. Yeah, there are. So he hasn't actually started on the houses yet. Meanwhile, Malta is just having a bit of a look what's going on down here. It's really, let's go back to that. So Malta has seen the barracks, has seen the house. The spearmen of Happy's haven't moved out yet. He's got up to 4. He's going to get up to 6, but he's actually going to move out with these 4 now. So he's going to look at making his way across the map, but Malta has already got a spearman out, and he probably will get up to 2 by the time they hit, and with the third not too far away. The scout is actually a little bit low. And oh, it is a tad laggy. So we see Happy doing a bit of damage to Malta's scout, but he's going to try and snipe a couple of spearmen here, then maybe push in. Is he still funneling his spears across? So no, he is actually not funneling his spears across at the moment. I managed to save that spear from taking too much more damage, so he's going to be able to charge in with all of them under the TC fire for an extra couple of shots on that one. And he is picking off these spearmen of Moltavui's one by one at the moment, so that's not ideal for Malta. He wants to get up to 2 or 3 himself, maybe try and drag them under town center fire. HappySmurf is backing off at the moment. Bit of tricky micro there. He probably could have just killed that spearman quickly. So he is going to kill the spearman now. He's got his tricky plays here. Bit of tricky shit. So, a couple of TC shots being taken there. And he hasn't moved out with his other spears yet. So, he's keeping there quite defensively. Oh, now he's moving them up now. So he's going to have all 7 spears moving up. Malta is only on 3 at this time. So we've got 19 villagers to 17. And that's largely because of the faster age 2 here from Malta, who's going to be able to queue up his... oh, he's actually throwing down a range. I thought he was going to perhaps go for the long swordsman. He's actually going to go for the Toxotes. So I wonder if Happy will respond in time, because if he is here in time, he can potentially interrupt that. And meanwhile, Malta does have a lot of villagers there, so if he does see the spears come in, he can look at repairing. He can look at building it with multiple just to force it out that little bit quicker. And in the meantime, he's still attempting to scout around here, see what else his opponent's got. Because Happy does have that slower age too, but he does have a little bit more stone in the bank. And village count's got 18 to 19 now, so Malta was a little bit slow on getting his villagers out. He's going to try and throw down another couple of houses with this villager. And he is... Ooh, Happy is going to try and get the kill on this scout. So Moltavui has actually mixed in a couple of Hypaspis, the long swordsman for the Greeks. Sorry. So got some spearmen here, more spearmen on this side. So he'll be able to see this and perhaps go in with the others as well. Although he isn't going to want to stick around here too long. So he does lose one in the process. Another is going to get quite low. These 3 over here are going to be able to rush in and potentially snipe his house now. So Malta has just decided to actually charge in. He's got the greater numbers here, and he's got a bit of a head start there. So he'll be able to get in, or actually turn here, which he does. So it's a turn, take a couple of hits, and then pull away. HappySmurf unsuccessful in actually preventing the house. And so Moltavui clearing those crocodiles there. It's sort of good for him, because now he can leave his units here and probably apply a bit of pressure to HappySmurf. So we got 21 villagers to 24 at this stage. A single spearman heading around in that part of the map. Meanwhile down here. Meanwhile back at the ranch, there is a town centre being thrown up by Happy, and the guys are going to look at taking a fight. So we've got a bit of a unit count advantage here for Malta, but there are some Saris coming in here for Happy, so he's going to look at trying to get some good harassing with these, but they do actually get sort of soft countered by the spearmen, in the sense that even though it's an age 1 unit versus an age 2, the spearmen do have a nice counter multiplier here. So the spearman is able to take him down with a nice 3 times damage. But it looks like Happy has managed to thin out this force of Maltas. So right now we've got 24 villagers to 27 behind this, and Moltavui is queuing up a bunch of Toxotes. Happy is content to stick with his infantry and Sarasophore. He hasn't actually started building anything out of his range just yet. So he's going to look at perhaps trying to overwhelm his opponent's Toxotes as well, and just have just a little bit of a front line of infantry. Moltavui's actually seen that sheep. He could potentially look at microing it around the edge of the map and getting it back up to here to gather from. If Happy spots that, that's going to be 200 food to Happy. So HappySmurf, with his aptly named Baby Smurf Greek Civ, doing a bit of a distance gather here. So perhaps he might look at throwing down a storehouse here soon, because those villagers in the middle could probably really do with one. Already having transitioned onto farms, which is perhaps a tad early. Meanwhile, Moltavui getting his berries. Is Happy even gathering? HappySmurf's not actually gathering from his berries, so the farms, if you get the upgrade, they are a little bit quicker than the berries, but it's a bigger investment, so getting in this early is perhaps a bit of a not such a good sign. But Moltavui is actually getting the plough upgrade. Doesn't have any farms himself yet, but it seems that he's interested in getting them quite quickly. He's getting a stable, so he'll be on 111 production for sills. Happy is already there. Perhaps Happy could look at adding another facility in and making a push. I think he's in a bit of a better economic state. He's 38 villagers to 27 of Moltavui, so He's actually really starting to pull ahead of his opponent there. Moltavui at this stage is still only on the one town centre. And there's a 6 Sarasofri heading around to Moltavui's base. So this is going to be tough for him to deal with. And all the villagers, I think a lot of them are actually sort of trapped in there. The spearmen are there to actually prevent too many losses. Something in my eye. Yeah. So HappySmurf is going to come around to this side, but find that he can't... Oh, he can actually get through there. So the houses, not so effective as a wall in that case. Perhaps Malta could have looked at streaming a unit through there to see if he could get through there. So there's actually a couple of little gaps there, but the spearmen sort of standing guard. Not really enough though. Moltavui still on that one town centre. So this could be quite threatening for him. I swear he put down a... Oh no, that was Happy's base I was thinking of. So perhaps he can catch this Sari. He's going to get it really low. He's moving the bulk of his forces here to actually clean these up. So HappySmurf not looking at sticking around to try and get a shot or two off on one of the Toxotes. Instead he's just retreating as far as he can. Still losing some of the Saris. Not really dealing a great amount of damage. And Moltavui should now have the stone to actually throw up his second town centre. He's really starting to fall behind in that regard. But HappySmurf in the meanwhile, it's 49 to 32 villages at the moment. Thank you for the follow. He's up ahead by 12 population, but he does have a little bit more in the queue as well, so that does factor into that. A couple of cavalry heading around. Just checking these resources, see if Moltavui's expanded anywhere, which he hasn't at this stage, other than to this little hunt down here, and he is going to take a second town centre now, so that is quite a bit delayed really. Realistically, you probably want to try and get one production facility and then throw down the town centre and at the high levels of play. And it seems as though HappySmurf is potentially getting ready to attack again. He's got his age 2 and he's on 50 villages. Moltavui still on 34. An interesting little wall with his houses here. So this is a bit more like it. If you're going to wall with houses, you sort of do need to snake them like this to actually give them a bit of backing. And a lot of the time there is a tiny little gap in here that units can actually sneak through. So that's going to be a bit more of a healthy wall in that case. And perhaps once he's got that done, he can throw down a wall here. And maybe throw down a market up here. So HappySmurf in the meanwhile is just using conventional walls. So as Greek, this will cost him a little bit of stone. As everyone except for Babylonian, it does actually cost stone. And it is arguably the hardest resource to get in the game, considering the deposits. You've only got 1,000. The gold, for instance, you got 3 times that amount at 3,000. And you've got the markets and all that sort of thing to gather an infinite amount with, so to speak. So Happy's base is going to be quite hunkered down now. He's a tiny bit behind on the house count actually, because he hasn't really been trying to force them out early to use them as walls. So I think he's sort of got the pressure advantage right now, and he's definitely had the villager advantage. He's sort of cut villages at 55 though, perhaps to make way for lots of markets. Lots of caravans out of his markets when he opts to get them. So sending some units down here, and he is going to get a market. So HappySmurf is sort of making sure he's not overproducing workers, although personally I probably would shoot for another 10 to 15 still, and then, you know, look at deleting them later on. And Moltavui at this stage has also really cut his workers at only 39, so that's a bit of a grim sign in a sense. He's going to get age 3 himself, but really he could continue to produce villagers out of this one. So he actually has asked about how to actually make good use of hotkeys, so I can teach him that after this game. We've got quite a big force of his actually heading across the field now. HappySmurf's, I think, is probably slightly larger. Oh no, here we go. So HappySmurf's is actually probably a little bit smaller considering the villager differential of 16 and the fact that Happy has got siege in the queue. So if Moltavui takes this fight, he could actually be in quite a healthy position. I think if he can get the Sarasofri onto the Toxotes, you know, it's going to all come down to micro here. I think can either player see one another? So neither player can actually see one another at this stage. Oh, here we go. So Malta's going to look at heading in. Let's see what tricky shit these guys have in store for us today. So HappySmurf looking at backing off first, but that prompts Malta to move out. So a couple of units are dying there. He's losing the Sarasophroi. And Malta gets his age 3. There's still these 3 sitting up here for Happy. And he's on 59 villages. He's actually getting some more now. And Moltavui still on 39 villages. So that's, yeah, quite a low number. Most people would really opt for probably about 70 villages and then maybe about 10 caravans. If not 60 villages and 20 caravans, that they can get the caravans out a little bit quicker. So that tends to sort of be what people shoot for. And Moltavui, is he going to look at getting his third town centre soon? He's certainly got the resources to do it. But he's actually taking a quick fort so he can look at defending himself a little bit better here. But oh, he's actually getting a lot of villages out of one of his town centres, this town centre here. So he's got so many villages in queue, but if he sort of splits that queue up, puts them out here, and takes the third town centre as quickly as he can from this position, which he's not able to do because he's throwing down another 2 production facilities, I think that's where he'd really be able to control his economy a little bit better and get everything out that little bit quicker. So, got a big force of his though, and he is going to take some upgrades with this double armory that he's going to get behind this. Meanwhile, HappySmurf getting some Peltas. I was going to say Takabara, but I realised that's the wrong sieve at the last second. And we've got barbed arrows coming out for Happy, so he's actually on the upgrades a little bit quicker. He's only going for the 1 armory for the time being, but he's going to be able to force out that barbed arrows that little bit quicker. And so, in say a Sari vs Sari fight, his are going to be slightly better off very soon. And so these are going to try and come around this way. But they're going to get a bit of a rude shock because Happy has already walled this up. So Malta has spotted the wall. Is forced to back off. Doesn't really know about the gold mine, I don't think. So he's going to try and stream his units in, but that damage bonus for his Sarasophroi isn't there yet. Happy's have an extra 2 damage at this stage. He's going to have a bit of a look at what's going on here. He's going to interrupt, maybe kill a caravan. Meantime, he's sort of building up his forces here, going to be able to ford up this mid-map gold. And his HappySmurf's Saris have been cleaned up, I believe. So HappySmurf going for the cheeky goats. He's going to try and stream them into his opponent's army so that when Malta tries to move in with them, they're going to be limited to the 4 speed of the goats. So the slowest units in this composition, I believe, are going to be Toxotes and Spearmen at only 6 speed. But if HappySmurf can, pull these goats over here, it can really slow down Malta if he accidentally selects them into his whole army. Or rallies them with his whole army. And so we see 48 villages, 65, but this fortress may go up here. Happy does have a slightly bigger force, and he has a lot of Sarasophroi here at the moment, so it's going to be quite hard for Moltavui to clean up. If he can't get this fort down in time, it'll be really scary. There are a bunch of Peltas of his own coming in, but he really needs to try and get some Prodromos to deal with these Saris, because they are going to have a nice bonus against both Peltas and Toxotes. The fortress does complete in time though, so this is going to be a bit tough for Happy in the sense that he needs to get a ram up here, because his units aren't going to be very effective against the fortress. He's got basically a pure ranged unit comp, and he's not at the stage where he's got Greek fire either, so he can't really rain fire down on the building, so to speak. And there are a bunch of rams being snuck around the back of Moltavui's base right now, so I wonder if he's actually going to be able to spot those. I don't know if he saw those. I don't think he saw those. I think they would have been just outside of the range. And he doesn't seem to be reacting at all. He's got a fortress here. He's got a bunch of idle villages though. But maybe these idle villages will come in handy. You might be able to pick these off. So he is going to be able to destroy these rams quite quickly, I think. He may lose the barracks though, but the town centre is definitely safe. No, the barracks is safe as well. So Happy a little ineffective with the rams, so that's sort of a 400 resource loss to him. Moltavui in the meanwhile is able to just sit back and build up some more production facilities. We've got 66 villages to 51 at this stage, so there's still a differential there, but the more both players have got, the less each individual villager difference matters. So eventually it does sort of hit a point where army size does become more important. There are a whole bunch of upgrades of Happy's been thrown out, so he's getting a Go Discipline, he's getting Ashlar Masonry. He would have already got the upgrade chain time technology, I believe, so this army of Moltavuis may be able to clean these rams up, but he's going to want to try and use some of the range to try and clean up the forward army of HappySmurfs in a sense, because otherwise he's going to get a lot of free hits on all the army of Moltavui, so both rams do fall. So he does manage to clean those up quite quickly, but he has lost all of his infantry, and he's got just this little range ball, and Happy's got a much bigger army count at the moment, so the units are being pulled back though, and these villages are nice targets for the Saris, so Moltavui does sort of get out of that pretty easily. He's still got a bunch of archery rangers in production. But HappySmurf definitely has an upgrade lead, definitely still has an economic lead, so it's 66 to 53 with the villagers. And Moltavui's going to need to try and expand that wall segment, maybe throw some other walls up, or maybe look at getting some more cavalry. Because HappySmurf is sort of able to keep pushing up and into him, and it is going to be a bit tough for Happy though. He's going to need to work to try and get on a gold mine, because right now he's actually all out of gold. There's no gold here for HappySmurf at the moment. He is gathering with those caravans, but he hasn't opted to try and expand. Moltavui's actually got a sneaky little scout here. He's got the goat there, so he'll be able to see if any villagers go up through this way and up paved around it, and know when he can be able to try and raid this. And at the moment, does he know about any other golds on the map? So Moltavui knows about every single gold that's left open on the map. HappySmurf, in the meanwhile, seems that he also does. But perhaps I'm not able to know for sure with just swapping through that. Normally I think I can, I'm not sure. But it seems as though Happy hasn't actually opted to expand off any more himself. So right now it's a bit of crunch time for him. Moltavui is still gathering with 12 gatherers. He's still got this gold mine. He's still got this forward one of Happy's. So he's effectively up 2 golds. He's effectively up 2 with just this one, because he's pinching his opponents right now, and he's got this back one still completely fresh as well. But over here there are definitely gold mine options for HappySmurf, as well as maybe throwing down his, he's got his 3rd town center already, but maybe throwing down his 4th one in a nice position, or throwing down a more distant market. So unit being cleaned up there by Happy, but he is sort of, well, we are sort of seeing a bit of a turtle here. Moltavui has a bit of a forward wall there to prevent harass coming through, and he's got an upgrade on it too, so that's quite smart of him. And we see this big Sarasota account heading around towards the edge of the map, so he wants to check, there's no market there, and now he's going to head across and try and deal some damage. He's got actually a mix, so he's got a couple of prodromos mixed in just to mop up any Saris that are there in the mix. Right now we see a couple of rams coming up. Moltavui is just going to try and wall up on his opponent's gold here, but is he going to lose this fortress for his trouble? So one of the rams does fall, another one is chipping away, and there's not really anything to repair the fortress at the moment. Oh, there is something now, so Molta is able to repair this, clean up these rams. Meanwhile, over here back in Moltavui's base, there's a whole bunch of Saris proving a bit of a nuisance for him. So HappySmurf is going to try and move up and clean up all these food gatherers. Try and clean up a couple of these caravans while he's got the chance to. Put Moltavui on the back foot. Force him to have to build up more. So there's another caravan being picked off. And another. So Moltavui is going to have to pull some units back here to deal with this. So here we go, some prodromos coming in, they'll be able to counter these Saris, but they are going to be streamed sort of dangerously back through the rest of Moltavui's base, but this also gives HappySmurf quite a good scout of what's going on here. So he really knows quite a bit about his opponent's base layout. Hasn't really seen where the units are, so he's going to assume that they're down here again. Fortunately, he is running the hoplites into here. So in terms of villager counts, we've got 56 to 76. So HappySmurf does have a 20 villager lead. He's really, really low on the gold though. Just doing a bit of a check here, but his Prodromos, it's 11 speed to 11.5. The more Happy sort of stops to try and dance the micro, the easier it is for the Prodromos to try and catch up. But they are just that little bit faster, and he is going to go for another run by attempt. Try and clean up another villager or another caravan. So Moltavui is continuing to produce more caravans, still has the spearmen up here to help deal with these pesky little Sarasofroi. But again, HappySmurf is relentless. He wants to try and deal damage. A couple of the villagers being rallied away. I think all these Saris are going to fall, so HappySmurf is finally taking another gold mine. With his, he's got 17 villagers heading across there. And meanwhile, well, I see you watching me, watching you. And now you see that's where you got to be. Alright, so Moltavui does have quite easy access to more gold still. It's continuing to deny HappySmurf this mid-map gold. Taking one over here as well, so HappySmurf is really starting to feel the pressure, I think. Moltavui getting ironsmithing and reinforce wall, so he's going to have a lot of unit upgrades coming in. He's going to have his wall upgrades coming in, so it's going to be increasingly hard for Happy to rely on rams to be able to put pressure on around the map. And there is a siege workshop of Moltavui's himself being built up. I think we're in for a bit of a longer game now. So we see Ballista and Palantonons coming out now to try and deal with this, because Moltavui has really sort of turtled up and crept up his base really well here, establishing sort of 2/3 of the map. And so we've got a bit of a big fight here. I won't actually surrender just in case they think it's one of the others. I'm not sure how familiar they are with the whole concept of surrendering from a spectator, even though I'm not actually in the game. So we've got this big bowman ball, mixed bow ball with a couple of hoplites mixed in as well, versus quite a varied unit comp here from Happy. And he's even got the ballista in just that bit quicker than his opponent. These 17 villagers are going to cut through this quite quickly. Already halfway through it. Malta doing well to defend this. Not really much pressure from over here from either player on this right side of the map. Malta's doing a good job at having all that walled off. So the Great Wall of Malta has already been thrown down. And he's got his gold age as well, so he's not that far behind Happy now. He's got 65 villagers to 81. So HappySmurf sort of forced to have to get out extra villagers, considering he hasn't got a lot of gold. Hasn't managed to secure a lot of gold. Ugh, feel so tired. I shouldn't be this tired at 2 AM. I mean, I probably should. So what are these guys doing now? There's one little Prodromos has managed to sneak in. And he's going to get a bit of a read on what's going on back here. Falls pretty quickly though. And we've got some priests being mixed in here now for Malta. Healing all his units up to full. Good idea before the start of the fight. Ugh. Bunch of ballista. So that's 15 population locked up in those. A bunch of upgrades coming out now for Happy. He's got 6 different things in his queue, including Greek Fire, getting both Gastra and Toxotes upgrades. Meanwhile, Malta getting Hoplite Champion, getting more armory upgrades for his range units and for his anti-range. And HappySmurf is going to try and chunk down this fortress of Malta, so that's a well-positioned little tree clump for him in a sense. And he gets some nice connects here on the army of Malta. So this siege is really going to be able to help him deal a lot of damage really quickly to the small units here in this Greek army. Moltavui dipping down in population. He's getting, and had got another couple of villages still, and he's going to try and get some Hippicons. He hasn't got Champion though, so he's probably going to want to get that soon if he's going to rely on the Hippicons, because they are quite heavy on the population until you get that upgrade. So the fortress does fall. There's a bit of an opening now for Happy to stream his units in through. But it's a bit of a death trap with all these production facilities already down here. There is quite a fair bit of range, but Malta does need to be careful to try and split it up as much as possible, otherwise he's going to keep losing multiple units at once from this really nice ballista volley that HappySmurf has back here. So population wise, Malta is ahead at the moment. HappySmurf does still have the smaller fourth and does lose a lot of the ballistas there to two that pop out just on time there for Moltavui. Oh, it's a bit laggy, so I'm gonna let them know. Got a big mid-map engagement here, but HappySmurf doesn't have a lot of fighting units at the moment, and Malta's even getting a couple of conversions right now. Ooh, so another ranged unit does fall. This Palantonon's really been putting in a lot of work, but are these going to get too close? Oh, he does pick one off. So the Palantonon is gonna fall. Oh no, the Palantonon is gonna fall, but Happy is gonna try and kill the ballista with his villagers now. So we got 79 to 70 is the village count. So Moltavui is starting to really catch up now with the villagers, and he does lose a ballista, not for killing one himself. And he has got the Gastrophedes out. He has got Hippocon champion now, so this is going to look really painful for HappySmurf, especially considering he's got Hapolites and he's got Hypaspis coming out. He hasn't got really a lot in the way of, say, Spearmen to try and kill these Hippocons. And there just is a lot of range here for Moltavui now. Ooh, so the ballista does go down. Greek fire upgrade always looks so pretty. HappySmurf trying to set up something over there. Markets perhaps? Desperately going to try and chip down the ballista, but it's only 3 damage at a time without the guard tower. Really not that good for Happy, and GG. I think he got a bit desperate with maybe trying to pop something up there like another couple of markets or maybe his 4th town centre. But it just was not to be. That's really interesting. That tower. It's a bit funny, really. It's like it's 3 chopped trees just around there. So in terms of the quest stats, we can see Happy had a big economic lead over Moltavui for a lot of that game there. So his villager reduction was a lot more consistent. If you go here, if I pull out this handy little graph, villager production for Happy slightly more efficient during the opening game, but yeah, during mid game with that 2nd and 3rd town centre, really pulling ahead of Moltavui, but it was just not to be. He just couldn't secure the goal. Moltavui with a really smart fort here to try and prevent gold gathering from the mid map at all from Happy, who was really locked down to no gold mines for a lot of that game. Anyway guys, I'm going to see if I can talk these two into another game.